The world religions. Religion is something that is derivative from a group of people's beliefs regarding the principles of life, the supernatural, and the afterlife, if any. It is a code of conduct that determines how people spend their lives. The world's faithful account for 83% of the global population. The largest religions in the world generally belong to one of the two main subgroups. These are the Abrahamic religions and the Indian religions. The great majority of these fall under 12 classical religions: Baha'i, Buddhism, Christianity, Confucianism, Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Judaism, Shinto, Sikhism, Taoism, and Zoroastrianism. Top 4 largest religions in the world. Number 1. World largest religion: Christianity. Fulfillment of the prophecies made in the Old Testament about the Messiah who was to come and save humanity from their sins. What are Christian beliefs and principles? Christians believe that Jesus Christ is the anointed Savior of the world, and that his presence on earth was the fulfillment of the prophecies made in the Old Testament about the Messiah who was to come and save humanity from their sins. This was achieved for Christians by the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, whereby he defeated Satan and paid the price for all the sin in the world. Christians consider Jesus' death, resurrection, and ascension to be the most important doctrines in their faith. This is because Jesus shows his omnipotence over death and ultimately is the most convincing evidence for Christians that he is fully God. Although Christianity is a monotheistic religion, Christians also believe that Jesus was God's Son and that he and the Holy Spirit are both also fully God, as well as being separate entities entirely. Number 2. Islam. Prophet Muhammad. Islamic guidance. Islam is the name of a religion established by the Prophet Muhammad. One who believes Islam is called a Muslim. Islam teaches that God, Allah, created the heavens and the earth. Mankind has been created in order to come to know Allah. This world is seen as a temporary plane in which we are tested, and our good/bad deeds weighed on Judgment Day, i.e. after death. Islam can be followed by anyone who declares and believes that there is only one God, and that Muhammad was his final messenger. It sees no difference between people other than in their deeds, i.e. race, wealth, nationality, etc. grant you no special status. Muslims pray 5 times a day, give to charity, fast during the holy month of Ramadan, and try to make a pilgrimage once in their lives to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Muslims see themselves as simply the latest in a long line of believers in God, who have followed his messengers over time. A Muslim sees Jesus, Abraham, Moses, and many others as their prophets, as well as those of the Christians and Jews. Jews and Christians are known as people of the book, and are considered to have received divine revelation. Islam teaches that God sent Jesus to rid Judaism of corruption and abuse by man. Similarly, Muhammad was sent to purify what had become of Jesus' teachings. Muhammad received revelation at the age of 40 while on seclusion in a cave in Mecca. This was through the angel Gabriel. What has become to be known as the Quran is actually the written collection of all revelations received from Gabriel over the course of years. These were written down by his followers and after Muhammad's death collated into one book. Islam spread from being a small group of spiritual rebels and slaves to conquering the Hijaz area, including the capital city of Islam, Mecca, also spelt Mecca. Mecca is seen as the first place of worship built to one God. It was built by Abraham, and thus is considered the holiest place on earth. The picture of the black, square building is called the Kaaba. Number 3. Hinduism. Gods of Hinduism. Hinduism is a religion that originated in the Indian subcontinent. Purists refer to it more as Sanatana Dharma, the eternal path/law, rather than a religion, as it is believed to be a virtuous way of life. It is the oldest practiced religion in the world, and has the 3rd largest following after Christianity and Islam. It has over 1 billion practicing followers, 90% of whom live in South Asia, particularly India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan, which is the only official Hindu state in the world. Having originated in the Indian subcontinent, it has spread selectively to other parts of the world owing to migration, as the ideas of conversion and evangelization are absent in Hinduism. The term Hinduism is derived from the word Hindu, which is a Persian distortion of Sindhu, the ancient name for the river Indus running through northern India. To that end, it is less a religion than a codification of the evolving way of life and beliefs of the inhabitants of the region. A conglomerate of diverse beliefs and traditions, Hinduism has no single founder. Modern Hinduism grew from the ancient texts called Vedas, and bore many similarities to other Indo-European religions like Zoroastrianism, incorporating strong elements of nature gods and their worship. Vedic Hinduism had spread all over the Indian subcontinent by the 4th century BC, assimilating elements of all local religious beliefs and practices. Over the next 10 centuries, it evolved further and also absorbed tenets of Buddhism and Jainism, which included the doctrine of non-violence and an emphasis on vegetarianism. Modern Hinduism grew from the ancient texts called Vedas, and bore many similarities to other Indo-European religions like Zoroastrianism, incorporating strong elements of nature gods and their worship. Vedic Hinduism had spread all over the Indian subcontinent by the 4th century BC, assimilating elements of all local religious beliefs and practices. Over the next 10 centuries, it evolved further and also absorbed tenets of Buddhism and Jainism, which included the doctrine of non-violence and an emphasis on vegetarianism. Number 4. Buddhism Wisdom. Buddhism was founded in northern India by the first known Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, in the 6th century BC after he attained enlightenment and assumed the title Lord Buddha, one who has awakened. Siddhartha Gautama, later known as Buddha, was a prince of the Sakya tribe of Nepal in approximately 566 BC. At the age of 29, leaving the comforts of his home, he undertook a journey to seek the meaning of the suffering he saw around him. After 6 years of arduous yogic training, he abandoned the way of self-mortification and instead sat in mindful meditation beneath a Bodhi tree. On the full moon day of May, Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, the enlightened one. The Buddha wandered in the plains of northeastern India for over 4 decades, teaching the path or dharma he had realized at that moment. Around him developed a community or sangha of monks and, later, nuns, drawn from various tribes and castes, devoted to practicing this path. In approximately 486 BC, at the age of 80, the Buddha died. His last words are said to be, "Impermanent are all created things, strive on with awareness." Buddhism, which is followed by over 5% of the world's population, lays claim to be the 4th largest religion in the world after Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. What's the goal of Buddhism? Nirvana. Most people have heard of nirvana, which has come to be equated with a sort of Eastern version of heaven. Nirvana, in true terms, simply means cessation of passion, aggression, and ignorance, the cessation of the struggle to prove our existence to the world, to survive. Number 5. Religion population ranking. Christianity. The world's largest religion is Christianity, which is practiced by almost 2.4 billion people. Christianity is divided into Eastern and Western theology, and within those divisions, many branches, including Catholicism, Protestantism, and Eastern Orthodoxy. Those branches further divide into the thousands of various denominations known today, including Baptists, Methodists, Lutherans, Seventh-day Adventists, Mormons, Amish, and more. Islam. Islam is the world's second largest religion. People who practice Islam are known as Muslims. In the Maldives, Mauritania, and Saudi Arabia, 100% of inhabitants practice Islam. In many nations, at least 95% of inhabitants identify as either Sunni or Shia Muslim. Countries whose populations are at least 95% Muslim: Maldives, Mauritania, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Algeria, Comoros, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Morocco, Pakistan, Somalia, Sudan, Tunisia, Turkey, and Yemen. There are 50 Muslim-majority countries worldwide. Hinduism. Hinduism is the 3rd largest religion globally. Hinduism is considered dharma, or way of life. It originated on the Indian subcontinent and is widely practiced throughout Southeast Asia. The four main denominations are Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Shaktism, and Smartism. Unsurprisingly, India has the largest Hindu population, but not the highest percentage of Hindus. There are an estimated 1.093 billion Hindus in India, about 79.8% of the population. Nepal has the second highest Hindu population at 28.6, an estimated 81.3% of the population. Countries with a large number of Hindus: India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, United States, Malaysia, United Kingdom, and Mauritius. Buddhism. Buddhism also originated in India and is based on the teachings of Buddha. Buddhists have unique traditions, values, and beliefs, such as reincarnation. About 507 million people practice Buddhism worldwide. China has the largest Buddhist population with 254.7 million, followed by Thailand at 66.1 million, Burma, Myanmar, with 41.44 million, and Japan with 41.38 million. Cambodia has the highest percentage of Buddhists at 97.9%, followed by Thailand at 94.6% and Burma, Myanmar, with 87.9%. Countries with the highest percentage of Buddhists: Cambodia, Thailand, Burma/Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Laos, Mongolia, and Bhutan. Number 6. Wars of religion low. The religious wars were a series of military conflicts in Europe in the 16th and 17th centuries. While the wars of religion often began as conflicts between Catholics and Protestants, there were political, economic, civil, and rational reasons behind the wars as well. The European religious wars were brutal, with the combined death toll ranging from 5.5 million to 18.5 million. Some areas of Europe had more than 30% of their population wiped out. The wars of religion were a series of separate but related conflicts. The primary wars were the German Peasants' War, the 80 Years' War, the French Wars of Religion, and the 30 Years' War. The German Peasants' War, 1524 to 1525, was primarily an uprising of German peasants of the Anabaptist persuasion. The peasants protested against the extreme abuses of Germany's feudal system and sought to establish a theocracy in which Christian ideals and the commonwealth of goods would be the governing rules. The peasant rebellion was crushed by Germany's rulers. Between 100,000 and 200,000 people were killed. The 80 Years' War, 1568 to 1648, also known as the Dutch War of Independence, was primarily a conflict between the Netherlands, which was largely Protestant, and Spain, which was largely Catholic. The Dutch had grown exceedingly frustrated with the political rule of the Spanish Habsburgs, and the enforcement of Roman Catholicism did not sit well with a populace with many Lutheran, Anabaptist, and Reformed elements. The 80 Years' War was ended by the Peace of Munster in 1648, but by then between 200,000 and 2 million people had been killed. The French Wars of Religion, also known as the Huguenot Wars, were a series of massacres and battles between Roman Catholics and Reformed Protestants, known as Huguenots, in France from 1562 to 1629. The French Wars of Religion were especially brutal, with both Catholics and Protestants committing horrible atrocities and betrayals with numerous broken treaties and assassinations. The conflicts were mostly ended at the Edict of Nantes in 1598, but not concluded until the Peace of Alais in 1629. Between 2 and 4 million people were killed in the French Wars of Religion. The 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648, was one of the deadliest conflicts in the history of Europe. It occurred almost entirely in Germany. It began due to Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand II attempting to force Roman Catholicism as the exclusive religion of the territory he controlled. The Protestants, who had been enjoying the relative freedom of religion, revolted and took up arms against the Holy Roman Empire. Sweden, Spain, and France joined the conflict, supporting the side that best fit their political goals. The 30 Years' War ended with the Peace of Westphalia in 1648, but not before between 3 and 12 million people were killed in the warfare and its aftermath, disease and famine.